If you've ever felt paralyzed by the fear of failure, stuck in your own head, just second guessing every single move, you're not alone, because I've been in the exact same boat. And that's why today I'm going to show you something that I wish I was told years ago to save me time, energy, and a lot of pain. So let's get started. The fear of failure is such a frustrating thing to deal with, as it's something that I've dealt with for a very long time when it came to pretty much everything that I wanted to pursue. So just the same way I teach and coach high achievers, people who want to do more, want to be more, know they can, feel limited by it. It was just the same thing I was dealing with for a very long time. And it's not just the fear of failure. Oftentimes it's also the fear of judgment. It can be the fear of disappointment, the fear of being rejected. It all falls under the exact same umbrella. And so the question you want to ask at first is, why is this happening? Why am I feeling such of these heavy emotions anytime I'm trying to pursue anything? Or maybe I'm in the moment of a competition or a presentation, a meeting that's pretty important for my career or something for my business. In that moment, why am I gripped by it? Why does it affect my thinking? And why does it totally skew my ability to make proper decisions in the moment? Well, oftentimes I'll use myself as the example. The reason oftentimes that happens is there's a story. There is a story we've repeated to ourselves over and over again that is causing us to see the world through that lens. And most of the time, from my experience, people see things through two worldviews: winners and losers. You look at social media, you look at anything on TV, there's a constant, either direct or indirect, message that says there are people out there who win all the time, and winning could mean making money. It could be all sorts of things. So money, fame, power, respect, all those things. And what are losers? Well, losers are those who they failed. They are rejected. They're nobodies. And if you look at these two scenarios and contrast it and also reflect it onto yourself in your own past experiences, which one do you relate to? What are you attaching to most? So for me, for example, when I was struggling with this before for a very long time, the first initial thing when I looked over at the side of the losers category, I was thinking, well, my early childhood, I was bullied a lot. And so I was bullied and I was neglected and pushed to the outside of the group. And what happened was my way of getting back into that group to feel more accepted was through accomplishment. And so the accomplishment at the time was to win medals. So when I competed a lot in jiu-jitsu, I did it for a very, very long time. And I did pretty good at it. And my thought was, if I win gold medals, if I win, then now they will accept me. And then the contrast of that, which is where the real power of that fear of failure comes in. The other end of that is, but if I lose, now I'm back to the same spot as it was before. Rejected, neglected, a nobody. You can imagine how, if that story, or I usually reference this in my loop pattern when I coach my clients. Loop patterns are basically repeated thoughts, emotions that ruminate together and then create a story out of it. They either attach to a real world example that happened to you, and then moving forward in your life, you just ruminate on it, creating a story, a perception of the world. And the world's perception is there's winners and losers. And if I'm a winner, I have money, I have fame, I have power, I have respect. Or you'll think, I'll gain money, I'll gain fame, I'll gain all these things. But if I lose, once I lose, I'm now a failure. I'll be rejected, I'll be a nobody. And then what ends up happening is, you can imagine the level of anxiety and pressure that you'll start to see things through. You will avoid scenarios. You'll be looking at moments of opportunity as opportunities of loss. You won't see it as a potential to gain. You'll see it as a loss. And so for me, when I thought about competing in tournaments, after a while, when I did start to win, I did start to feel good, that creeping thought that I cannot bounce into the loser category. And so if I was at a tournament, I would be absolutely crippled with anxiety at the thought, at the mere thought that if I lose this, I'm going to be swung back all the way to the very beginning again. Is that really how it's going to work? No, of course not. That's not the reality of it, but that's just the story I've repeated over and over and over again. Therefore now, everything becomes that in my worldview. I'll start to validate it, find examples to prove my worldview correct. But it was until I found this alternative way of seeing things and then actually using practical strategies to ingrain and ground this new perception. And that perception is what I like to teach: preservation versus expansion. What is preservation? So what I call the preservationist state is when you look at things as like challenges, for example. You look at challenges not as challenges for opportunity to grow. Instead, you see it as a risk to lose what you have, to lose the status quo, your ego, your sense of self. And when you decide to approach something, it cripples you so much that the only thing you can think about is to preserve what you have. So you can't allow yourself to flow and get into that state where you can just tap into the moment and really excel. It's not going to happen. And so the preservationist mindset is to hold things and hoard things. And the anxiety of dropping it is brutal. Now, the contrast to that is what I call the expansionist mindset. The expansionist mindset is the idea that you're not afraid to put down what you have. Because, first of all, your identity is not tied to the thing you're holding. If I'm holding my phone all day long, am I the phone? Am I my phone? No, you're not. It's just something you use. It's just something that is of use to you when you need it. But I'm able to put it down and still be myself. But we attach to the awards, we attach to outcome and what it can bring us, so much so that we identify, and the idea of putting it down is just way too painful. And so the expansionist is practicing the art of putting it down, going for the next thing, chasing for the next opportunity. Because, now why would you do this? What's in it for you? Because again, if you see the world through the perspective of winning and losing, that feels like a stupid idea. Why would I do that? Well, we got to dig down one layer below. Learners versus growers. Learners or growers. What's a learner? Somebody who makes the process more important than the outcome. The process of learning and understanding a given subject that you feel excited and passionate about. And on the other end, you have the growing, which is essentially looking at things as, I'm either going to learn from this right now, and I'm going to acquire wisdom, or I quite literally am just going to grow from it because I accomplished what I wanted to do, so I grew and I expanded. But the funny thing is, it works both ways. In other words, the way I like to tell myself is, I can't lose, because one of two things always happens. And if you reflect on your life, on real moments, and you're being genuine with yourself, you'll see that it's true. One of two things is either going to happen. Your life will either get better, just flat out because of what you accomplished. Maybe that's more money and more freedom. So your life got better. Or you got wiser and stronger. Now, if you look at it this way, so if you go for a challenge, you go to a tournament, for example, and you lose, you didn't get it. Well, if your mindset originally was on an expansionist mindset to go and seek challenge, you're able to come out of that saying, well, I didn't win today, but what was it that I took out of it? What were the lessons that I can draw from it? What are the mistakes that I can correct? And now what's going to happen? If you exercise this muscle, what you're going to look at this moment as is not that you're a loser, but what you're going to look at it as is this is information that you were given, that you've earned, that's going to make the next challenge more doable, more possible. You've climbed up the ladder literally, instantly through this. Or on the other end of it, you accomplished it, you won. To which case, you achieved your goal. You feel you have momentum. And those are all great. It's fantastic. But again, the issue you don't want to fall into is getting too attached to, because if you attach to it too much, then you're going to quickly switch back into a preservationist state of mind where you're going to want to hold on to it. So you can't get too carried away if you do start seeing results. But through constant reflection of understanding that if you lose, it wasn't really losing in the big picture. In the big picture, you acquired wisdom. You acquired knowledge of what you could have done a little bit better. And by knowing that, really, really, truly practicing and knowing that, what you're going to start to notice is, yeah, you know what? You're right. I can't lose. Other than having some temporary pain that I have to digest and understand and give time for, therefore to come back to my center, in the big picture, I'm winning. Because if you continue on this path, what I found for myself and the clients I work with, you cannot help but start to feel genuine momentum and growth and progression in your life, no matter which avenue you get presented on a day-to-day basis. Because some days you'll win, some days you'll lose. But I recommend if you look at it as some days you'll grow, so some days you're going to grow, and some days you're going to learn. Now, even in practice, like let's imagine if you practice for the next 6 months, 12 months, what's going to have a better, stable, emotional center? If you looked at everything from a preservationist state, that if you seek out challenge, that is a risk to your identity, or that if you look at things through an expansionist state, that anything you try to acquire is going to benefit your life either way. You're going to win either way. Which scenario is going to allow you to actually get the things you want done? And I find this so common in high achievers because you know you want to do more, you know you have more, but that limiting belief is crippling and keeping you stuck in place. And it's just nothing more than the way you've perceived and seen the lens of the world, and often the rumination, the stories you tell yourself. So then how do you begin to change something like this? And by the way, if you want an intro guide to my Rule of 3 method to overcome the fear of failure and achieve more in your life for high achievers, go ahead and click that link down below. It'll send you to my website. You can just download a free PDF absolutely for free. It'll give you an intro guide to the method that I use for myself and for my clients to help them organize their life, get things in order, overcome their limiting beliefs and their fear of failure, judgment, rejection, all those things that hold us back to actually move towards the vision that they want for themselves, that they know they can have. So if you want that for free, just click the link down below to send you over to my website. But anyways, moving on now. So you need, the first thing is you have to understand, you have to have a strong why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why is it so important? Well, the reason why it's so important is because if your why at a foundational level is from an outcome state, an outcome mindset, so what you're looking for is money so that you can influence X, Y, and Z. You want power so that people can no longer tell you what to do. If you have very sort of lower level emotion, lower level spiritual ambitions, that is it's just gonna set you up for failure. So one thing you want to look at it as, what you're seeking has to excite you and fill your spirit with a bright light that you just want to share and give service to other people. It has to be something that also, when you're in the activity, you're more consumed of the process. So the process is what really drives you in, and all you want to think about is just learning and acquiring knowledge on that given subject. Now, of course, not every aspect of what you're doing is what you're going to love. You know, like there are some things, if you're not a finance person, you're not going to like the budgeting side of your business. There are going to be certain things you're not going to love. But the overall mission, the purpose you've given for yourself, and purpose can be in all sorts of different ways. It doesn't have to be money. It could be improving the relationship with your family. It could be getting yourself to be a good public speaker because there's a story you want to share with people. The purpose doesn't have anything to do with the traditional ways that we look of us, the way we look at things. It could be completely whatever you want. But again, the way to kind of feel like how it's more in line is that it has to fill you with this bright light versus something that if you want to go and chase and you get like validation from and you need it, it's like a black hole. It feels like anytime you get it, it feels nice at first. It does. It feels good. But once you consume it, immediately you're thirsty again. You need more. You need more. You need more. And it never, ever ends. But when something fills you with light, one small action in that direction, you're going to feel satiated, full, as if you did enough for the day. That's how it makes you feel. And that's something you want to pay attention to. So it fills you with bright light. It excites you makes you want to work on it, makes you want to put in time and energy, and then all of a sudden, outcome doesn't matter that much anymore. Not that it doesn't matter in the big picture, of course you want an outcome, but you just get lost in the process. And so it excites you. It also makes you want to share it. What makes you want to give it to other people. And for me, a signal that this was the right direction to go was I was doing a lot of this coaching for free. I put months and months of free time into my early time with this method because I had to also test it out. I wanted to make sure everything was good to go, but the money was not even a thought in my mind. I love the process. I love seeing the client go through a transformation right before my eyes, or come back 2 weeks and say, you know what we were working on was doing X, Y, and Z, and they had to implement it. They had to put in the work. I just had to show them the information. But to see that, it was more than enough. So it's the service to others that you feel compelled to do. It's also the strong desire to learn and grow. I'm reading books, listening to audiobooks every single day, and it's almost like I feel like I can't consume enough. And so it's another signal as well. Are you just constantly drawn to consume the information as much as you can? These are really good metrics to give you a strong foundation in combination with the other practices. Now, the way you can begin to implement this is through daily reflections, daily intentions. And so just to give the broad strokes before, I don't want to get too into it, that'll be for another video, but the main idea is you start your day with an intention, with a focus. That's the first thing. You start with an intention. Then you go about your day and try to spot the intention that you set. Maybe your intention was, I want to be able to deal with confrontation if it comes my way, at least not shy away from it, don't shy away from it, but just be able to be in the presence of it. So you find and reinforce that intention. Then at the end of the day, you reflect on both what you did well and what you could have done a little bit better. On what you did well and what you could have done better. And then of course, I always tell all my clients, always at the end of it, just let it go. Let it go to the universe, let it go to God. It's not in your hands anymore. You can't do anything about it. And so once you end your day, just send it off. It's not yours to deal with. And so hopefully this helped you out. And as a final thing, if you want to just take yourself to the next level and you're just tired of waiting, you don't want to wait no more, click that link, go to the website, scroll all the way to the bottom. There's going to be an application form for one-on-one coaching. Fill that out, and I'm going to review it to make sure both of us, if I can serve you in this scenario, and that way I could be of absolute max help to you. So fill that out, I'll review it, and I'll get back to you. This is an absolute purpose of mine, and so I really look forward to working with you guys.